So I wanted to talk really quickly, and once again, there were folks that collaborated on the things that I will be talking about with me that were not able to be here, so I'm sort of summarizing and wrapping up for people who are at other things for the campus. And what I wanted to talk about a little bit was what I'm calling blended beyond courses. So we've been working recently with a lot of different groups, somewhat like Kelly's is actually in Lilac, so this is a course, but you're also co-curricular. Well, we have a lot of other partners. Lilac is one of them. The dean's office is another, where it's folks who are coming to us and they want to blend something, but it's not actually an academic course. And it actually is for many of the reasons why people want to blend courses. And that is, these are things like blending advising for first-year students who are coming into the college, right? They're all over the world now. And so traditionally they come in 1 week before classes start and they get everything. And it's like, so how can we kind of reach them over time? How can we help them before they get here? How can we answer questions, alleviate anxieties? Another thing that we are helping, that we blended, was orientation for summer advising students who get funding for a summer internship over the summer. They have an orientation session. Historically, it was an in-person session, one day at the last bit of classes when everybody's trying to do exams and papers and things like this. And so getting everybody together. Some of the students are abroad. Again, sort of how do you reach students when they're not physically here? Also, groups that have done things like this, orientation sessions, information sessions, they find that the students don't have a lot of time for reflection, and when students couldn't make it physically to the event, they would have a makeup event where they were doing something similar, but it was off, kind of out of the, and the responses and the reflection papers and the things like that they got were so much better. And they were like, oh, how can we, bake more time in for this kind of thing? To give participants more flexibility, this is everyone, not just the students who are participating, but also the faculty. Sometimes faculty can't be here, or they're abroad, or they're doing these things. So how do we help with that? And then also, and this was something sort of what Jeff was saying about the reflection piece. Reflection was a big theme that came up in a lot of these when people come to us and want to blend things. And then also the sort of checking oneself. How do I know if I'm done? How do I know if I've done all the things I need to do for this particular experience? And then on the back end, I have orientation for 400 students who are coming in. How do I see where everybody is so I can find the ones who haven't completed something and help them, right? So those kinds of things. When people come to us and say, I want to blend X, usually these are the tools that we are talking about using for this. So it's the same tools we use when we're helping faculty with courses. It's Moodle. A lot of it is going on in our learning management system. We turned activity completion on. We have, in some cases, people have explored badges. We're doing things like checklists, questionnaires, assignments. Schedulers, the dean's office, one of the things they wanted to do was meet students where they are, which is in online tools, not having them have to call to make an appointment to come in, but actually being able to make that appointment online, being able to change that appointment online, being able to get a reminder about that appointment. The things, and then a lot of just sort of simple videos, sitting down in front of a camera with, recording something or a narrated PowerPoint. Nothing really, really fancy here. And then finally, web and instant chat conferencing. So being available online, again, if you're thinking about students who are abroad, they're logging in, late at night, our time or something like this. So how do you sort of set up so that you can reach them where they are? So here's an example of a Moodle page for our undergraduate advising. Again, it's these tools, they're playing around with a lot of chaining, so the students have to come in and make an appointment with someone. Now these appointments can be online. They don't have to actually come in the first week of classes, right? Before the first week of classes. But they're doing things like having to complete a checklist, right, that the advisor can see. And so they don't see this until they've done that. So it's things like that to help people kind of move through in the way that you want them to. Here's an example of some lessons. We have some curricular requirements that are kind of confusing, and so we found, can you create something that kind of walks people through with some questions at the bottom to see if they're getting it and flip them back if they're not, kind of things. So again, an online lesson, very common in an academic setting, also very useful in this kind of setting. Summer internship orientation, similarly, there's some information that's given to them. A lot of this is, again, they're using this, you won't see it unless you've already done that, right? A little quiz to see if you're doing it. And then information security education. So this is us, LITS, helping people learn how to not get phished, right? So we basically have online courses. We have to enroll all faculty, all students, all staff. They all have to complete it. We're doing sort of the same thing. So we've seen some impacts. Actually, almost a quarter of last year's entering class got advised in some form online before they got to campus, which was huge, 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 huge. Especially for students who are really anxious. You know, our deans are thinking about things like MELT, right? People who say they're coming and then don't show up, or who are freaking out. These are the ones that they really, really, really want to meet. This has kind of led us, this experience, to offer a fully online course for students who are need to get academic credit for internships that they're taking over the summer. A lot of these are international students, and so there's certain enrollment requirements that they have to meet. So we do actually have one fully online class. Advisors, program admins that I've been working on find this tracking very helpful, although it's kind of a work in progress. Right now we have way too much to track, and we're having to think about what specifically do I want to track. How do we manage that data? And then what's really interesting is the content builders, actually, the folks that we've been working with, as they gain a lot of confidence, they're the ones who are saying, you know, I want to do an instant message chat thing. How can we do that? What's a good tool for that? What are the students using? You know, so I think they're really, it's been really interesting how they're getting interested in, you know, we could take this data, could we analyze it? What could we do with that? So, you know, it's been fun. Challenges, the big thing, right? Anyone who has taught a course like this knows that it's maintaining the content. Who's going to do that? Who's going to refresh it? How do you manage enrollments for non-academic sites, right? We have everything set up to go through our course enrollment system, but if no one's enrolling for this, how do we decide who's in the course and keep that fresh? That's a challenge. We're looking at Moodle cohort as a way. And then finally, it's meant that there's a sort of expanded range of people that need to develop on the LMS. And so my group, you know, typically helps faculty. We're having to help a lot more people than just faculty, and we're having to think about what that means and how we do outreach for that.